What's up, everyone? Welcome into Around the Felt Sports, where tonight we got mock draft 10.0, the first time in ATF history we've hit double digits on the mock drafts. We got draft fever. Some would say it's draft season. We're a couple weeks away, and we're fired up. Tonight, we're rolling on the first and 10 mock draft sim. Our friends over there did a phenomenal job with this platform, and we teamed up with them last week. If you haven't done so, check out that mock draft, that collab. Reagan and I were co-GMs. We got little disagreements there, but we ultimately did a pretty good job, Reagan, I would say. So check that one out if you haven't yet. And yeah, tonight we're going to alternate every 3 picks. Me, Reagan, and we got Big G back on the mock draft pod for the first time since the combine and free agency. Yeah. We'll get a little bit more G flavor, some G spice. How you doing in here?
Yummy G flavor. Yeah, yummy in my tummy.
We're going to alternate every 3 picks. And in this mock draft, trades are live. Nothing's set right now. We've not discussed with each other. So we might make some moves. We might be like, hey, I want to move up here, and you might see some live negotiations. We'll see what happens. Should be a fun mock. Gentlemen, how are we? We ready to roll?
I'm happy Garrett's here. I'm glad we got some G spice in this, but I'm ready to go.
Let's go, man.
Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. Without further ado, number 1, the Las Vegas Raiders select No. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana. I'm not in the Dan Orlovsky camp where I believe Ty Simpson's the number 1 quarterback in this class. It's Mendoza. He's already reviewing the playbook. He's already learning the lingo. This one's set in stone, about as easy as a number 1 overall pick lock as there been in the past couple of years.
Yeah, we're not ESPN, folks. If you want to listen to some bull crap, then go on ESPN and they'll give you some hot takes.
Yeah, we're not here for clicks. We're here to give you thorough analysis that we genuinely believe. So,
yeah, 100%. All right, well, I will be taking pick number 2. I am going with Arll Reese in this scenario. I've gone David Bailey a couple times. I think it's between one of those two. Yeah, I can, I'll hear people out for the Sonny Styles camp, but I think the fact that they brought in Demario Davis, I don't think they would want to spend a pick number 2 on a Sonny Styles. So I think it ultimately comes down to Bailey versus Reese. I like Reese as a prospect more. I think he's more of a blue chip player. So I think the Jets have to just go and try to get the best player available. Bailey may end up putting up more production, but I like the ultimate talent of what Arll Reese can be for this defense, and I think you just need to get some playmakers. I mean, this defense had 0 interceptions last year, so you need to just get any type of playmaker you can on that defensive side of the ball. So give me Arll Reese for the Jets.
I had David Bailey in my mock, but I don't know. As we get close to the draft, it feels more and more like it's going to be Reese.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm cool with either, honestly. Odds are, I'm a Jet fan. Garrett's a Jet fan. For those who don't listen to this podcast, odds are, no matter what, it's going to be the wrong pick. So does it really matter anyway?
Yeah, it's going Jet.
The Cardinals might just be sitting here getting the other option who ends up being a future All-Pro while our guy's out of the league by the time his rookie contract's up, because that's just the Jet way, baby.
The Jets being the team to take the guy with the highest upside, like kind of a raw prospect, and actually hitting on him doesn't come often, but I think that's the right pick, and that's the pick I would have made. And I think that is what they ultimately do. I think it is him and Bailey. It's going to be the big debate. And we won't know till it comes draft day, but I think it's Reese. All right, so I'm up with the Cardinals now. Honestly, you can go a lot of ways here. There's no set number 3 prospect, I'd say, on the board. I mean, obviously Bailey, probably one of the BPAs. Jeremiah Love's there. I think I'm going to lean offensive line though. I know it's early. I'd like to trade out of the pick, but it's a tough spot to trade out of.
Who's moving up? Yeah, who's moving up to 3? I just don't see it in this class.
I don't either, unless the real smoke is that the Titans are going to take Love, and then maybe you want to jump. But who's jumping for a running back? So the best lineman, I like Francis Maui Noah out of Miami, the best. I think he could slot in at left or right tackle.
So is that the pick?
If Harris, that's my pick.
Okay.
Harris Johnson there. I think for a team that you don't have your long-term quarterback yet, you have your bridge options there. Why not set the line up for the future for the next guy coming in? Francis is a beast. He's 6'5". He only gave up 8 sacks in his career, and 5 of them were his freshman year. And he was just a mauler this season, and I don't think they can go wrong stacking up that O-line for now.
It's a fair pick. I've seen a lot of smoke about Maui Noah being that pick in the recent weeks. It feels like they kind of moved off it ahead of free agency, and they just didn't fill that hole at right tackle. So Maui Noah makes a lot of sense for Arizona there for sure. And even if it doesn't work out at tackle, they could always kick him inside to guard, which ultimately you don't want from number 3 overall pick. But his arms are long enough to stick at right tackle, I think. But some guys think he's going to be guard, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, the Tennessee Titans here, man. This is interesting because David Bailey's on the board, and I don't think edge is out of play, especially with Robert Saleh as the head coach. However, I got to think this pick's going to be to support Cam Ward, man. And I got to think Brian Daboll is going to be absolutely pounding the table to get him some type of playmaker here. And the question becomes, is it Jeremiah Love or Carnell Tate? I know they paid Wan'Dale a lot of money, but Wan'Dale's a slot guy. Tate's going to play on the outside. You take Love, are you going to cut Tony Pollard then? It's an interesting debate, man. I had Love there earlier, but I don't know. Schefter is reporting that Love is not the guy there. And who knows? That could be a total smokescreen. But are the Titans concerned the Giants would jump them from 5 to 3 for a running back? But like Garrett mentioned, like who's moving up for a running back? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be terrible.
So you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to go Carnell Tate, the wide receiver. When Daboll was the head coach and they needed a wide receiver 1 for Daniel Jones, they took Malik Neighbors at 6. Now, Carnell Tate's not the same caliber of prospect as Malik Neighbors, but the general consensus right now among scouts and draft pundits is that Carnell Tate's the wide receiver 1. He's the cleanest guy. He has the least amount of concerns when you talk about Jordan Tyson's durability and you talk about Mekhi Lemon's size. Carnell Tate's just a clean prospect up and down the board. I don't want to hear that he wasn't even the best player in his team because that's what a lot of people say, and they think that means he shouldn't go top 10. Well, I'll tell you what. If Jeremiah in this class, he probably would have went number 2 to the Jets.
2. He's going 2.
Assuming that sure. Like this is the quarterback class. So
yeah,
Jeremiah Smith would have went number 2. I think this has got to be a pick that supports Cam Ward. And now you're sitting there like, all right, we still got some building blocks along the offensive line, although I'm not sold on J.C. Latham. But all right, we got Wan'Dale Robinson and Carnell Tate to round out that wide receiver room. You still got Ridley back on a restructured deal. Still got DK and Umanor. So they got some weapons now at Cam Ward's disposal, and I think ultimately that's the route they're going to go here at 4.
Yeah, I mean, I like that a lot because I think the Titans really need to get Cam Ward a true number 1 wide receiver. Even with bringing in Wan'Dale, like, let's be real, he's not going to be the number 1 for a young quarterback, or really any quarterback. Like, he's going to be a great safety blanket, but he'll never be the true number 1. Calvin Ridley's on the back end, so I like the initiative here for the Titans to go and address that. And I think everything we've seen in free agency, they've been very heavy to address the defensive side of the ball, so it would make sense for them to go offensive player at number 4. All right, number 5. I'm curious what you're going to think of this, Colin. But
don't do me dirty. Don't do my Giants dirty.
I don't think we're doing you dirty. And this guy's been shooting up draft boards. You know.
I know what you're doing.
What am I doing?
Oh, you're going Delane, bro.
Wow,
you're going Delane. Yeah, because that 4.38.
Yeah. Wow. I'm actually surprised you knew what I was going to say. But yes, I am going Monso or Delane here. I think he becomes the shutdown corner that the Giants need. And listen, I mean, when you're playing in the NFC East, when you have elite quarterbacks, and this is probably going to get a lot of hate because Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott are 2 of the most hated quarterbacks in the league. But listen, in my opinion, they're both elite. Jaden Daniels, elite. So if you want to compete in that division, let alone the NFC with some of the quarterbacks that are in the NFC right now, you need to go out and get a shutdown cornerback that can go and, guard CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens, go guard A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. If you can take one of those off the field, we don't know what the Commanders' wide receiver core is going to look like, but they're going to have Terry McLaurin and probably address somebody else, whether it's in the draft or, would be in the draft because there's really no big name free agents left. But, in that division, you need to go and get a shutdown corner. This guy is by far the best. And like you said, I mean, his speed is off the charts. So if you can have him take out half the field, I think it's a win-win for the Giants there. What do you think of that?
Hey, you know what, man? I don't hate it. I hated it a lot more like 2 months ago. And now that I'm sitting here, it's like the whole talk with the Giants right now is, all right, Downs, Love, Styles, like one of those 3. None of the 3 play a premium position.
Well,
Delane does, right?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Delane, It's crazy. There's some stats out there where like he barely got targeted. Like it looks like he got bored out there. Like teams would just avoid his side of the field. That's how good he was. Like he's sticky in coverage. And if you want to draft based on premium positions and what you're going to pay the dollars compared to the top of the market, like going corner is not a bad idea.
No, we've seen a lot of teams rewarded with a lot of like taking cornerbacks over the past couple of years. Like ones that were very good and dominant in college have translated, and especially like for Delane, like he was playing at a big school. But I mean, you look at Quinion Mitchell, you look at Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley, like Patrick Surtain. We've seen a lot of cornerbacks drafted early that have really turned out to be difference makers for their teams right out of the gates.
I like it.
No, I love Delane. I think it's a good fit there. So I'm up with the Browns. You know, the way the board is falling, I kind of
Not ideal.
I kind of want a team to for certain teams though, like not for the Browns, but I kind of want the Cowboys to trade up to this pick.
Whoa, you have the Cowboys. You have the Cowboys. You
David
can
Bailey.
do that. You could do that.
I want to see what you guys think it would take because they have the 2 first. I think they would flip 12 to get up to 6. I have to look at the rest of their draft capital for this year.
Yeah, I mean we can play around with this right now. Can you see it?
It's
you
gonna be right
see
here.
It, right?
Wow,
yeah,
look at this,
12,
man.
20. I mean, I would think more
you
than
think
12
it would take
20.
12 and 20?
100% to move all the way up to 6. Yes.
Move up 6 spots for a first. I mean, I don't want Cowboys
the difference
fans
between
to kill
6
me here.
and 12, dude. You're not getting a David Bailey at 12 or anyone of that caliber. So I would think at least.
I don't think you got to send. I think you got to send something back to Dallas.
Yeah, maybe
I was thinking that too.
What do you guys think?
Like 39.
No. I would think 70 or maybe like a third rounder next year.
Well, click it. Let's see what the odds are. You know, we got to see what
72% chance this gets this done if it's a third rounder next year. If I do the third rounder this year, if I do 39, 87% chance it gets it done. All right, fine. So 6 and 39 for 12 and 20. You want to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that. Now the Browns have 12, 20, and 24.
All right.
All right. So now I'm up there with the Cowboys. Hopefully their fans don't kill me, but I came up for David Bailey.
Wow. I haven't seen that happen once in any mock draft.
No.
I like that.
I love that.
I mean, usually he doesn't get this far. I mean, it's very likely. I mean, with the guys we took in front of him, I think David Bailey's one of the best edges in this class. I mean, he had 13 sacks last year. Yeah, he's a bit older than Reese, which comes into some of the evaluation on projection of Reese to have more sacks and whatnot. But the floor he's bringing already he'll bring as a rookie is really high. And I think when you add him next to Quinnen Williams and the bodies they already have, this defense needs another mauler on the edge. They've been kind of lacking that, obviously, since the Micah trade. And I think this guy's going to set a tone for that defense. And I think Jerry Jones gets himself a star player. He makes the headlines on draft night, which he's all about. And I think fans would love this. We'll see, though.
Hey, I like it, man. I think for Dallas, you got to like it. And Jerry said, he's like, I'm not taking any guys that are going to redshirt. You know, we're running out of time here. So David Bailey tied for the lead in the FBS in sacks last year with 14.5. You want to talk about ready to play right now? That's the definition of it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That is an interesting
wow.
trade.
I like that wrinkle, man.
So
I mean, they could also, if this sport plays like this, they could have went up for Styles, Love, or even I don't think you would do that for Downs, but either of those three guys, I think they would be interested in moving up for if they can get their hands on them.
Nice, man. All right, I got the Commanders here at 7, and I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about moving back, but the way the board's fallen, I don't think they'd pass up on Sonny Styles at this spot. I'm going to go Sonny Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State. You know, I had a team that I want to move up. I'm going to talk to Reagan in a second about that. But here at 7 for the Commanders, Sonny Styles is just too good of a value for me. I think he's a top 3 player in the entire class. 6'5", 245, 4.46 speed, sideline to sideline, can cover tight ends. Who's throwing the ball in the middle of the field there? The Commanders' defense allowed the most yards in the league last year. They need some help badly on that side of the ball. So Sonny Styles, it's just a slam dunk pick at number 7. It's where, and that's your replacement for Bobby Wagner long term as well. It's just where need fits value 100%.
Yeah, I mean that is a needs fits value. I mean, it's typical for, I think Dan Quinn wants to get a leader, a chess piece that Sonny Styles really would be for that Commanders defense that was dog shit last year. So to get a guy like Sonny Styles at 7 is great value. I think he's more important to them than going, for a premium like Jeremiah Love on the offensive side, because you do have already those explosive players. So, yeah, I'm cool with that. I already know I have an idea of what you're going to ask me to do here because we were talking about it off the pod.
Can you pull up the Rams for a second? I just want to see the Rams draft. I know they're a little light on draft capital, but you want to talk about a team that's win now, right? They're winning in 2026. They're going for all the marbles.
Oh,
I want to go from 13 to 8. What do I got to give you, Reagan? Are you interested in moving back for the Saints? The way the board looks right now, the Saints have a lot of options, right?
For the Saints, 100%, because they're a team that, they're going to be gunning for the playoffs next year with the way they finish down the stretch. But they certainly are a team that would be happy to move back 5 spots and pick up some more capital to really build that roster up around Chuck. So, yeah, I'm definitely open for business there.
Would 13, 61, and 93 for 8 and 73 get it done? Do you like that? Will you take that? That's my offer. You move back 5 spots, you move up 12 spots, and then you get another pick in the 3rd.
Yeah, I would think, a counter would probably just be to move back. They get they get 13 and then they get the Rams first next year.
I'm not giving you the first next year. I know Les needs about fuck them picks, but
I would think that's what it would take, or at least a second this year and a second next year.
Hey, 56% chance, that tells me it's even. Does that not tell you it's even? That tells me it's pretty even.
75% chance if we do my, or wait, yeah. So it'd be.
But we're talking here, me and you, right? If it's around 50-50, that means it's a fair trade value-wise. I understand you usually got to pay a premium to move up, but
75% means it's more fair. The closer you are to 100, the more fair it is.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to give up round 1 next year.
I would say
I think Rams fans are gonna be mad if I give up round 1 next year to move up for what I'm about to do.
I like to use the Rich Hill chart where they value each pick, each draft spot with a number.
You're going the wrong way. You need to add something from the Saints, dude. You're going the wrong way. Why didn't you just propose the trade that I put in there? Just propose the trade that I put in there. You're playing around with it too much.
Yeah, because I don't think there's a world where the Rams would give up that many picks this year.
Well, they already gave up a lot of picks because they got Trent McDuffie. They don't have a lot of holes.
Whatever. Let's do it. I don't know. I don't know if the Saints actually accept it, but for the sake of the mock draft, let's do it. We're not claiming to be like capital experts here, so let's just do it, and see this scenario happen.
Punch it. Let's go. The Rams are on the clock. Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame. You want to talk about a win now move? Get the number 1 player in the draft. And you already traded pick 29 and some other picks to get Trent McDuffie, an all-pro corner. And then they signed the other Chiefs corner, Watson, and now they're good. They got no holes on this roster. Yes, because could I have stayed patient at pick 13 for a wide receiver? Maybe, but there's no guarantee Miami's not taking one. There's no guarantee Cleveland at 12 now is not taking one. Then you're sitting there like, man, we're not getting a weapon for Matthew Stafford in his last year. I understand they just extended Kyrie Williams before the 2025 season, right? He's got 2 years left on his deal, and he's cuttable after this year. Corum's fine. Corum doesn't stop you from taking a player like Jeremiah Love that Sean McVay would love to have in his offense, man. Would love to have him. A complete weapon, 4.36 speed, which, honestly, I think he might be faster. You see D'Angelo Pons, the corner from Indiana, ran a 4.26 today at the pro day. Go watch Jeremiah Love score from 99 yards out, and D'Angelo Pons does not catch him. That's ridiculous. This is a total win now all-in type of move. Still got Puka and Devontae on the outside, who they had trade discussions about Devontae Adams, which is interesting when they were trying to get A.J. Brown, which I don't think is going to happen there. Jeremiah Love to the Rams, man. There's smoke. I'm not making this up. There's murmurs that the Rams really like Jeremiah Love, and they might be interested in moving up to get the best player in the draft. Talk about an offensive juggernaut. And I know Kyren Williams, you could still give 12 to 15 carries a game here.
Yeah,
right?
I hate it. I think you're disrespecting Kyren, brother. I don't think you're giving him
I
enough
like Blake
credit.
Corum too.
I think
I think he's got juice.
I think they're.
I think
good
you're playing more
because of
fantasy
this.
football in your mind, buddy.
I think they're good because of the system more than anything. There's a reason they got drafted.
Yeah, but that's fine.
There's a reason they got drafted where they got drafted.
That speaks to the fact that you don't need to go out and get a guy like Jeremiah Love if it's more.
Oh,
of a system
I'm not saying they
need
need to. This is a luxury pick 100%. But you want to have the most explosive offense you can. The MVP quarterback, reigning MVP quarterback. You're going to give him the best player in the draft, the best weapon in the draft. Think of him as a weapon. The Lions took Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. They would have taken him at 6 if they didn't move back with Arizona that year. Arizona moved for Paris Johnson. They would have took him at 6 with Montgomery because they viewed him as a weapon. Dan Campbell just said it at the owners' meetings. That's the way I'm playing it.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, I just don't know. Like, you have a guy that's gone for 1,500 yards basically in back-to-back seasons, with 15 touchdowns in both seasons. So it's like Kyron's just been, a workhorse for them. They paid him. And
he's also
was a
back,
great.
Though. He is
a small back.
It's going to catch up to him at some point. He's going to catch up to him at some point.
That's why you have Blake Corum. I mean, listen, hey, it adds an interesting wrinkle to this. I'd be curious what Rams fans think of that. I personally don't love it, but I think it adds an interesting wrinkle. So, hey, it's mock draft season. It's all hypothetical. Fine. So
you
never know.
A good play for the Saints, and Saints fans would be happy with you. I bet Rams fans are going to like it. I bet they're going to like it.
Yeah, I don't think Saints fans are complaining necessarily with them trading back. Maybe the capital wise, but
All right, we ready to move on?
Yeah, that was a lot.
I got the Chiefs. It's all right. It's a big move. I mean, so I got the Chiefs here. This is a beautiful board for them, in my opinion. I really like the way it fell for me here. So, obviously, I'm going to consider Caleb Downs, Ruben Bane. And I see a lot of mocks with Spencer Fano going to the Chiefs as well. I know, Colin, you're a big proponent of them just loading up that O-line.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he fits for KC because he's not going to stick at right tackle,
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I also see him more of a guard. So it's really, I mean, I could even see Mekhi Lemon if they really liked him. But I think the pick I'm going to go with is Caleb Downs here. I think he's going to fit beautifully into this defense.
Damn it. That was my pick at 10.
Spag is going to get a new leader of his defense. I think he can have a similar impact that they had with Tyrann Mathieu back in the day. I mean, this kid is so NFL ready. It's crazy. People have him as their top guy in the draft. A lot of people have him as the top defensive player, at least. I think he's very much pro ready and can be an all-pro safety during his rookie contract. And for a team like the Chiefs with the secondary that's so slim right now, why not grab a player with his upside?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Caleb Downs at pick 9. Absolutely not. He would have been my pick at 10. So.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely need to, with a lot of losses in the offseason and that secondary is just such a big hole for them right now. So it makes too much sense there. And it seems like an incredible value at 9 for a team that's going to be very scary next year to add a guy like that. I'm
curious, Garrett, did you consider Jamal McCoy after he ran a 4.38 at his pro day yesterday?
I saw that.
Fresh off the knee.
I mean, it sucks that he didn't do the combine. I mean, the only thing with the pro days, I feel like numbers get a little inflated at pro days. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was still good to see him running around and showing that he's going to be ready to play. So I think he's more in play at like pick 11, pick 12, that range. But okay. I'm sure they'd consider him.
Valid. All right, here I am at pick 10, and I would have taken Caleb Downs. I think pick 10 is the absolute floor for Caleb Downs, but I don't see him getting past Cincinnati, just given how badly they need defense. And I'm looking at the board here, and one guy just sticks out like a sore thumb, and it's Ruben Bane, man. I know they took Shamar Stewart last year and didn't really pan out year one, but he was always more of a guy that's going to need some more time to grow into his role. And now you're taking an edge rusher with short arms. And it's like, Cincinnati, they don't have like a true polished guy. And it's like, fine, But Ruben Bane, you want to change the way your defense operates and the mentality, like this is the guy to do it. You know what I mean? Like they need a bulldog along that defensive front, and Ruben Bane is going to be that. I don't think he'll be a double-digit sack guy for you, but he'll be so impactful in the locker room and in the run game and just the way he's going to transform that side of the ball for them, that I still think it's worth it at pick 10. And you can't deny the production that he had at Miami last year. He was dominant, particularly in the college football playoffs. And I think that'll translate. He might get swallowed up by some big tackles. We'll see. Maybe he beefs up a little bit and kicks inside sometimes and kind of does a little hybrid role there. I don't know, man. I just think Ruben Bane is too good of a player at 10. And it's the ebbs and flows of the draft cycle where it's like, oh, combine short arms, and everyone has him falling all the way down the board. But then as you get close to the draft, I feel like teams get to the point where it's like, am I overthinking this? Because in January, I absolutely loved Ruben Bane and would have been thrilled to get him here at pick 10. Just because of his arm length, I'm going to like totally balk on him now. I don't know. I know the history usually doesn't support edge rushers with short arms, but Ruben Bane just feels like he could be that outlier that works out.
Yeah, I like that. Listen, I mean, they lost Trey Hendrickson, obviously, and Shamir Stewart wasn't what they had hoped in year one. So I think edge is definitely in play here, and mainly just really defense this team has to go. So to get the best defensive player on the board, I think is can't go wrong with that if you're a Bengals team or a Bengals fan.
No.
All right, so for the Dolphins, a team that you can really go anywhere. I mean, I was honestly thinking of like even trading back here, but there was nobody I'd love to trade up in this spot the way the board fell. But I definitely think Miami's a team that could be, even trading back again. I wouldn't be surprised if A-Chain doesn't get shopped on draft night as well.
Yeah.
In this scenario, I mean, listen, I understand corner's a big need. They could go McCoy out of Tennessee, but I just think they have to go wide receiver because otherwise, what are you doing, Dolphins? And you could make a case as well for Kenyan Sadique at tight end, like to just go get the top tight end or, one of Tyson or Lemon. But, I mean, you trade away Waddle and you look at the current state of the wide receiver core, they have absolutely nobody. Tyreek Hill got cut as well. And you pay Malik Willis's contract. How are you even supposed to get a gauge on this guy if you don't give him any talent around him? So in this scenario, I'm going to go with Mekhi Lemon. Last time I went with Tyson, but I'm going to have Lemon kind of slide into that Jalen Waddle role in the slot. They obviously ship him and pick up a first, so maybe they bring in Lemon. I understand. I do favor Tyson more, but with the injury concerns, maybe Miami just wants to get a more healthy guy, a guy that played at USC. So we'll go with Lemon in this scenario, just to shake things up.
I like it.
I like it, man. They need receivers so bad. Malik Willis needs some help out there,
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they might just end up going O-line just because they need so much that it's like you're almost better off just starting from the inside out.
You could have took McCoy, Ione, Lemon, Tyson. I would have been cool with any of them. They can't go wrong with any of them,
It's just like so hard to think they won't go wide receiver just because it's like, who is he going to throw? Like, how do you even gauge Malik Willis if you don't draft anybody? There's no free agents out there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I mean, I
draft
think
a wide receiver at 30, which is, very much a play. But
the fact that they were willing to trade Waddle means they probably have a really high grade on probably all three of the top guys that they were comfortable enough to move on from him. And I think with that with that 30th pick, I think that's a good spot for like a guy like Colton Hood or someone like that, where like I think it's definitely like a good spot to replace him with that 11th pick.
I agree. Mm-hmm. And they admitted too, like they traded Waddle because he's coming up on a contract extension. By the time he's already 27 years old, by the time this team's going to be competitive, like Waddle's going to be out of his prime. You're paying him a ton of money. So it makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So I'm up with Cleveland here. Since I made that trade, Cleveland has 3 firsts now. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but
3 firsts.
They got a lot. And they're all coming up. See, the fact – so I know for a fact I want to get them a lineman and a wide receiver, maybe 2 linemen. So it's tough to say because my next pick for them is 20. So it's tough because do I want to take the lineman here? But the fact that you just took Lemon makes me kind of lean for the receiver now because I don't know if he'll get to 20. And I'm going to go with Jordan Tyson.
Wow.
I still think even if Reagan took Tyson there, I would have considered Lemon. between those two for the top receiver left, in my opinion. I think for a team like Cleveland who needs like an alpha wide receiver one, and now that they have an extra first, they can afford a little bit more to take a risk on a guy like Tyson. I think as long as he's healthy, I think he's going to be a stud. When I watch him play, he reminds me so much of Jamar Chase. And for a team like the Browns, who really are trotting out there, only really Jerry Jeudy. I mean, I like the tight ends and running backs they have, but they need help in that receiver room. And I like Jordan Tyson here for them.
It's a good pick. Can't go wrong with that. Last of the big three.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I mean, it sucks as us being Jet fans that he's not there at 16, but, it's similar to the Dolphins. Like, you got to just get some talent around your quarterbacks. Like, the Browns have, we don't know what their quarterback situation is going to look like this year, but we know if they want to truly evaluate what they have, they need to give them as much talent as possible to fully evaluate it. So I think that's cool. So now it's me for the Saints with the trade me and Colin did before. I am going to go with Jamon McCoy here for the Saints. I think they got to build up their secondary more.
Yeah. Good pick.
He kind of sticks out to me there. Obviously, we just talked about the pro day, and there was concerns with his knees, and the injuries and stuff. But obviously, he ran very fast, and this guy was a beast at Tennessee. So for the Saints to go and do this, I mean, they did, I guess you could say, they drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry last year in the second round. Or no, 2 years ago. That was 2 years. Yeah, because he was drafted in 2024. So 2 years ago, they drafted McKinstry. They signed Isaac Yadom.
He's not good. Giants fan.
He's not.
Giants fan.
So, I mean, it's a very big gaping hole for them in that secondary to go out and get a corner. So in this situation, you trade back, you pick up some capital, and you get a guy that you could have taken at 8. I mean, you could have justified that they could take him at 8 there with Delane going off the board. So I definitely think this ends up being a pretty good pick for the Saints.
Yeah, he would have gone higher than 13 had he not towards ACL, I think.
Yeah.
You're on the clock again, Reagan.
I am. Ain't I? I am. So you know what? And I know it's a new regime. I understand that. But with the loss of Isaiah likely, I'm going to take Kenyan Sadique.
Whoa! We haven't had that fit yet.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
No, I think they like that 2 tight end set. Andrews is obviously the better blocking one. Likely was always the more athletic, receiving threat. And I think Sadique can slide right into that. I mean, not that he's the worst blocker, but nobody's sitting here and saying he's moving the needle as one of the best blocking tight ends in this draft. It's because he's a physical freak, as a receiver and stuff. And he could become their number one target right away. Yes, Zay Flowers is their number one wide receiver, but it's not like this weapons core is moving the needle. It's Derrick Henry and it's Lamar Jackson with his legs. So Sadique right away could become the number one target for Lamar Jackson. And I think they're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. Even with the new head coaching change, I still think that philosophy will stay for the Ravens. So it's a different route here, but it's one I figure why not? And it's also a long-term play too, because I know Andrews, I want to say,
they just extended him, but
I know they extended him
which
through
was a
2028
ridiculous contract, by the way. Ridiculous.
But that's okay. It's only through 2028, so it's not you know what I mean? You can draft a guy like Sadique, you can run the 2 tight end sets, and eventually he will be the succession plan. But even then, I think they'll utilize both of them heavily. And it's also one of those things where it's they can get out of that deal later on. So if Andrews starts to falter on the back end of that contract, they can get out of it pretty easily.
It's also one of those things where you want Vega to fall the Jets at 16, huh?
No. I mean, listen, I don't know.
I like Cooper Jr. for the Jets.
It's just different.
Neither of the Jets fans got this pick, so.
No, that's fine. You do what you want, but that's just a different route I was going there.
Okay, I don't hate it. All right, Big G, what do you got for the Bucs?
So I was going to consider Sadique here for the Bucs heavily. I'm going to go with the chalk pick. We've been doing a lot of it. Meidor, edge out of Miami.
Yeah, it's just such a need, man.
I know the Buccaneers love to shock everyone in the first round, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do something crazy again, because this is one of the most mocked picks I see to them. But I think the fit it works too well. Like you guys have talked about with Todd Bowles, he's on the hot seat. He wants a guy he can trust. Grab an older prospect with a ton of production already, bringing a high floor into the NFL with him. and that defense could desperately could use a guy like him.
They've been trying to like figure out edge rusher since what feels like Shaq Barrett had like that ridiculous season.
Yeah,
you know, like they've just been looking for pass rush help on the edge for a long time, and they took Joe Tryon at the end of the first round a couple years ago. They whiffed on that. They brought in Hassan Reddick. That was a whiff. Yeah, I mean, that just feels like it's got to be edge to me, you know, unless they want to go corner. But in this scenario, both Delane and McCoy are gone, so you're not going to go corner there.
No, I like that. I like that a lot, honestly. I just think the Bucs need to get an edge rusher, and it makes sense for their window. And, you know, something we've been harping on a lot with Todd Bowles, like he needs win-now players, and Meidor is definitely a win-now type of player in that spot if he wants to keep his job.
Yep. All right, Jets here at number 16, man. This pick is all about 2027, and what better way to set up that quarterback they're going to drop in for 2027 than taking Vega Ione right now, the left guard out of Penn State, the best offensive lineman in the class. That's 16 overall for the top guard. That feels right to me. Booker went 12th last year. Vega's a better prospect than Booker. I think the Jets should be absolutely thrilled to get him here. And you put him next to Olu, the Penn State boys on the left side of the offensive line, replacing AVT. You got Membu at right tackle, and it's like, all right, boys, whoever's playing quarterback in 2027 should have a top 5, at worst, top 10 offensive line unit in front of them. And they're young, dude. The 3 core pieces, first-round picks, are all young and going to grow together. And we saw that work out for Philadelphia. We saw that work out for Dallas when they invested a ton of first-round capital into their offensive line. I would know, being in the NFC East with my Giants, those teams usually have good offenses, man. And with the way, I just think Vega over Omar Cooper's a smarter pick here. The Jets got picks on day 2, plenty of them. You can get a receiver then. Just right now, Vega is just too good of a value for me to pass up.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think one of these receivers falls into the second, so I think they would jump right on that, or even trade back in to the end. But
yeah, they would jump all over that.
They love taking linemen in the first round. We do it so much. I wish they could just find a guy I wish they would just find a guy in the 3rd round who could offer some starting roles, but we seem to only be able to find good players in the first. So if that's how they want to, if that's the route they want to go down, that's fine with me.
I'm glad my Jets fan friends approve.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was a very cool one. So let me make the Lions pick here. Right? Wait, what?
Yeah, you got the Lions.
Are you booing me? Are you booing me?
I'm booing Colin just for the hell of it.
Just for the hell of it.
You better go left tackle here, dude. You better go left tackle.
Yeah, but I mean,
you got so lucky. The top 2 left tackles are on the board.
No, but are they not going to slide? You don't think Penny Sewell's going to play left tackle?
No,
I think they'll do it if they're desperate. But if the board falls like this, so why not?
Yeah, that's true.
I know Tristan Wirfs made the move, and he's an All-Pro at both, right? But like,
true.
Why not leave the best right tackle in the league where he is?
Yeah, I mean, last time I went with last time I went with Lomu. This time I'll go with Freeling from Georgia. I mean, he's a guy that's been shooting up boards like crazy over the past 2 months. He was a guy we didn't even know if it was going to go in the first round. Now it sounds like there's talks that he could be a top 10 pick. In this scenario, he does fall to 17. You know, obviously only 1 year, I believe, as a full-time starter. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was only 1 year as a full-time starter.
He's only got like 17 starts.
Yeah. So 1 year as a full-time starter.
Spot starts, yeah.
Yeah, so he hasn't played a whole lot of football, but I mean, dude, he's a physical freak at 6'7". If you're not watching on, yeah,
corny.
No, I'm kidding.
So corny.
Yeah, so corny, so corny. We just lost like half of our viewers. You're just gonna see the analytics dip at that point. But no, I mean, listen, it fills a big need for them. I mean, we saw down the stretch last year, the biggest reason that the Lions just fell apart was because they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't block for Goff. I mean, that Vikings-Lions Christmas game, where Goff had like, the offense had like 6 turnovers, and like Gibbs and Montgomery had combined for like 30 rushing yards. It was just like, wow, like this Lions offensive line is in shambles right now. So it's pretty clear with them letting Decker go that it's a big need there. So I'm going to go Freeling here, and hopefully that helps solidify that offensive line so that they can make a playoff push again this year.
Nice.
Thank you.
I'm not going to
Thank
waste
you.
much time. I'm with the Minnesota Vikings. This is an easy pick for me. I'm going to go Dylan Thiemann, safety out of Oregon. It seems to happen a lot in mock drafts, but it's such a great fit. I mean, there's a glaring need there for the team, and this guy's an athletic freak. 4.3 out to 40. He's been a 3-year starter. He's shown that he could be a big nickel. He could be a safety. And I know for a fact Brian Flores is a guy who can get the most out of a player like this. And that defense has been reliable for the past. Sorry,
the dog out.
I was letting the dog out. I think this is a great fit, and he's going to be their new Harrison Smith, probably even better. And I don't think the Vikings fans would be mad with this.
Nah, that's a fair pick. I mean, this is kind of the range I see Dylan coming off the board. And just with his testing, the way he looked at the combine running through the drills, like, yeah, this guy's ready to go out the jump. And the Vikings are very set up front. They definitely need help on the back end there. All right, boys, I'm up here with the Panthers at 19. This has been a really tough one for me to pinpoint, really all draft season. I think their roster is actually in pretty good shape, and there's various directions they could go. But I don't see like a glaring need that they need to address at this pick. So I feel like they've done a pretty good job building up this roster, given all the draft capital they gave up to get Bryce Young. So I'm going to have this pick be someone to support Bryce Young. How about Caden Proctor out of Alabama? Offensive lineman, right? Guy has his flaws, for sure. For sure. There's a lot of times at Alabama last year where he got beat and he's getting shoved around a little bit. And it doesn't really make sense because he's a behemoth of a man at 6'7", over 300 pounds. What is he, 350 pounds? Like, it's unbelievable, right? Former 5-star recruit. He's got the pedigree. It's concerning. He needs to clean up the pass protection for sure, but you know he's going to be a mauler in the run game. And whether he sticks at tackle or not, I think he played left. I think he played right. I think he played guard. I think he's got 4-position flexibility if he gets a good offensive line coach and he pans out. Ike Mekwonu, their left tackle, suffered a pretty significant injury towards the end of last year. He also hasn't necessarily lived up to where they took him 6th overall in the draft a few years back in 2022. They brought in Rasheed Walker from the Packers as an insurance policy. That's fine. They can compete at left. Taylor Moton at right tackle. I don't love that. I know they're paying him now. They got Robert Hunt at right guard. They're paying him a shit ton of money. Damian Lewis at left guard. I don't know. I think he's replaced. Like, at the end of the day, Proctor is such a massive human being and Bryce Young such a little human being that they need to protect him and give him a pocket, particularly on the interior more so than their quarterbacks. So even if Proctor, I think you just roll into camp, you say, let's start him at tackle. Let him compete at left. Let him compete at right. Let's see what we got here. Worst case, he competes at guard. And he's a long-term solution for you along that offensive line where I look at it, I don't see a lot of long-term solutions, right? Especially if Ekwonu doesn't take that next step. So for me, let's continue to support Bryce Young. That 5th-year option's coming up. You got to know. You think you know after last season, you saw strides. Get him a guy here that gives you the clarity to make a clear decision on which direction you want to go and whether Bryce Young's your guy long-term.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would have gone offensive line for the Panthers there, but a guy like where they're still trying to kind of figure out where he slides in at tackle or guard, that aspect is nice where, you know, I do like Damian Lewis. I do like Robert Hunt. You know, they have a lot of money tied up with those two. So if he can take over one of the tackle positions, or if you're dealing with injuries for a team that we expect to be back in the playoffs, or I certainly do, like I expect them to take that next step, it does make sense to get another lineman in the mix and potentially a guy that, you know, maybe is a project, but can be more of their long-term plan, even if it doesn't pan out in year one.
Can't go wrong taking an offensive lineman in the first round. It's not a sexy pick, but how many teams have become great because they loaded up on an offensive lineman? You know what I mean? Like, you got to win the trenches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for the Browns here, I'm looking.
Nope, I have the pick.
Do you? Why?
I have the Browns because
Why would
I
you?
made this trade.
No, you don't. You took the pick for the Cowboys. You don't get the pick for the Browns.
fine.
Well, yeah, Reagan technically should pick here because you moved up with your Cowboys pick, and
This was
like you
his
moved
original
up,
pick.
but this was Reagan's Cowboys pick technically.
Yeah.
All right, you can have it.
Yeah. So in this scenario, there's two guys I'm looking at. There's Spencer Fanu, who a guy we're not sure where he's going to play. Like it sounds like he may have, flexibility at all 5 spots. And for the Browns, they've already filled 3 of their 5 offensive line spots, so it could work. Or I'm looking at a guy like Keldrick Falk, more of a project, but the talent's there, super young. A guy you can pair with Myles Garrett, learn behind him. The potential is there. So I'm going to go with Keldrick Falk here. Let them put him at the other edge position.
Interesting.
Learn with Myles Garrett, a guy that everyone's like concerned about a little bit that he might take a year or 2 to develop. That's fine. The Browns are definitely not in their Super Bowl window, so he can learn there behind one of the best edge rushers. And if he can develop in the next year or 2, imagine him and Myles Garrett with Mason Graham on the interior. That is a scary defensive line, but I think he would have success right out of the gates because how are you going to key in on this guy when Myles Garrett is on the other side of the ball?
Interesting. And you know why I don't hate it, Reagan? They could use another guy. I know Schlesinger was really good for him, but he's not really an edge rusher for them, right?
No, he's a middle linebacker.
I don't hate it because the way the Browns just restructured Myles Garrett's deal means his contract is significantly easier to trade if it comes to that. If they both decide this marriage isn't working anymore, Myles Garrett's already requested a trade in the past. He's already pissed off that hired Munkin over Schwartz and apparently hasn't even been in the building. Without Myles Garrett, I don't really know what they got in that edge group, dude. So I don't hate it for that reason.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Alex Wright, their other edge rusher, I mean, he wasn't bad last year. He only had 5.5 sacks. It's not enough to be like, hey, we definitely don't need another edge rusher. And even then, like, rotational guys are always good. But the guy's 20. He's a young guy, and I think he fits well for a team that's not close to win now mode that can, sit there and watch him develop. Like, you don't need him to be elite right out of the gates. And what better player to teach him than Myles Garrett? So, yeah.
All right, you got Steelers.
I'm up with the Steelers. Yeah, since you didn't take Fanu, I definitely got to consider him. I was looking at Blake Miller here for them for this pick. I just don't want to roll into the season if I'm a Steelers fan, having to rely on Broderick Jones to be a 17-game starter for my team. I think they came out and said they weren't even sure if they were getting his 5th-year option picked up or not. I think he has some kind of health problems going on. So I think left/right tackle is definitely in play here. And it's tough because I want to take Spencer Fanu, but I don't know if he projects super well.
I don't think he's playing tackle.
So that's why I think I'm going to lean Blake Miller here because he projects a lot better to be an NFL tackle.
Yeah, or he could go Lomu, his teammate. But yeah, Miller is getting a lot of love. He's getting a lot of love.
I think Miller's, he's so far a pretty safe prospect overall, and I think it's going to fill a need for this team that they're going to have to fill. And why not grab him and grab a guy in the first round other than waiting and trying to take a dart throw on a tackle later in the draft?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, the Steelers, I like it. It's still to be determined. We don't even know who their quarterback is next year. It would be funny to always hit the
Will Howard.
Smash the Ty Simpson button, but I think I don't know how much Steelers fans would like that.
Nah, I don't think they'd like that pick very much.
I believe in Will Howard.
Will Howard.
That's fair, and that's a good pick. All right, Chargers here at 22. I tell you what, man. Defensive tackle's been in play. They did bring in Dalvin Tomlinson, which is a sneaky good move for them. So I don't think that negates interior defensive line for them, but I think, number one need, maybe not quite as much. They still have Teair Tart at nose tackle as well, or D tackle. So I'm still thinking offensive line's in play here, and I'm going to take Spencer Fanu. I just too good of a value for me to pass up here at pick 22. Again, I don't think he's going to stick at tackle, but hey, if Alt gets hurt again at right, at least we know Fanu can play right. He did it in college, even with the short arms, even as a Band-Aid solution. But now he can compete at any of the 3 interior offensive line positions. I don't think let's be honest. Even if he's not starting week 1, they need depth because that's what tormented their season last year was they had no offensive line depth, right? and they brought back Trevor Penning, who was a fail of a first-round pick for the Saints. He's their left guard. That's not amazing. They brought in Tyler Biadasz from Washington at their center position, what I actually think is a good move. They jumped on that pretty quickly, and they got Cole Strange, former first-round pick of the Patriots, who also didn't really pan out as a first-round pick at right guard. Fano can compete with any of those three, and he might beat out any of those three. And worst case, you have depth. So I think offensive line with Jim Harbaugh is always in play. Too good of a value for me to pass up at 22.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you make this trade more possible that I'm about to do, but I do like that for the Chargers, especially with his.
Whoa, we got a trade coming?
Yeah, we do got a trade. Oh, wait, no, is it Garrett's turn? No, it is my turn, right?
It is your turn.
Yeah, I was going to say. So this one, it comes down to, I have Houston trading up from 28 to 23 just with the board and how it's shaking out. We're running out of offensive linemen, and Houston needs an offensive lineman bad. They need a left tackle, and there's really only one name I see that I think is like a surefire first-round pick, and that's Caleb Lomu. So I do have them trading up here with the.
You don't like Arante Ursary? You don't like Ursary at left tackle?
I just prefer Lomu, and I think Houston and the Eagles could get it done. D'Amico Ryan's former Eagle trading with his former team to move up. Where are the Texans, man? Oh, here we go. So in terms of capital, they'll give up 23 for 28, and then Houston will give up 59, and then the Eagles will throw in a fifth rounder next year. So to move up 5 spots, Houston gives up a third and gets a fifth next year. So we're going to do this trade. We're going to make it happen. Now that Houston's here, they're taking Caleb Lomu out of Utah to become their starting left tackle. Obviously, they trade Laramie Tunsil last offseason to the Commanders, and it was a big, massive blow to them. They now let Titus Howard, they trade him to the Browns. Did they cut him or trade him? No, they traded him, right? Titus
Howard? Yeah, they traded him to the Browns. Yeah.
They traded him. So that's back-to-back off seasons where they've traded, some of their best offensive linemen away due to money issues, but they need to go offensive line here. I mean, we saw just in that playoff game alone, like obviously Stroud didn't play great, but it also didn't help that he had no time to throw the ball at all. And your defense is elite. You don't need to go and try to bolster that up more. Like that defense is elite. You have to go get Stroud protection so that when your defense maybe doesn't show up or isn't 100%, you actually can still win the game. You don't have to rely on them week in and week out. So I think that's a big necessary pick for them there.
It's a good pick. I mean, I actually like that trade up a lot. I think it makes a ton of sense. And I think it's realistic because you said like, hey, offensive linemen are flying off the board. I think that's what's going to happen in the actual draft. Like there's a huge drop off after those top 7, maybe 8 offensive linemen, particularly tackles, right? So I love it.
Yeah, especially like the Eagles. Like I don't think there's anyone in that spot that they have to take the way their roster is made up, and how he's like always chomping at the bit to get a good deal. So I'm sure.
Dude, jumping the Browns there was huge.
That's another thing too, because the Browns probably would have gone offensive
line. Browns just got screwed.
Well, that's why I didn't like your Keldrick Falk pick, because they clearly need a no lineman, and in that scenario they took him and 3 tackles go right after.
You could have took Lomu at 20 and then chilled and took,
but that's how the board fell. That's how the board fell.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you didn't read it right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Bad GM.
Maybe.
All right, Garrett, you're on the clock for the Brownies. What are you going to do now? It got a little bit more difficult.
After I thought I was picking all the Browns, and he screwed up my whole thing. But this is my pivot. Now I have to reach on a guy, but it's a pivot. It's going to be Caden Proctor out of Oregon.
I already took Proctor.
Wait, out of Oregon?
No, sorry, I messed up his name. I want
Emmanuel Pregnoon. Wait, is that who you're talking about?
You're going guard? They need tackle. Why not Ian Oshawa?
All right, what? If you want to help me with that one, I'm not that familiar with it. I'm talking about Pregnon from Oregon.
No, that's fine. They could still go guard.
Yeah,
they just need offensive line in general. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I think he's safer than the guy you mentioned. A lot of people are saying he's the second best guard in the class. I think he's more projected to be a second rounder, but in this scenario, with the run they just saw happen, I think you just have to get a guy that you could trust that can become a starter for your O-line. And I think this guy projects well to be a good guard in the NFL. And if he doesn't go in the first, he's going to go pretty early in the second. But in this scenario, he becomes a first-round pick in this mock.
Yeah, I mean, they signed Zion Johnson and they have Tevin Jenkins, but neither of those guys are like shoe-in starters. I mean, there's a reason why they didn't last with the teams they were on. You know, they're throwaways from other teams.
They're going to roll with DeJuan Jones at left tackle in this scenario. I mean, they might get a developmental guy on day 2. And let's be honest, they're not winning in 2026 anyway. So it's okay to have a tackle that's going to take some lumps in year 1 if you get a developmental guy on day 2.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I believe, well, in this scenario, I forget what their capital is in this scenario, but they do have the 7th pick in the second round.
Okay.
But I forget, did we trade that away? I think we did.
We might have traded it. All right. I'm on the board here, 25 for the Chicago Bears. We got to trade, folks. We got to trade. The Arizona Cardinals are calling. And Ryan Poles is picking up the phone. The Cardinals are going to offer 34 and 65 to move up to 25. Damn. All right. Toss him back 129.
Well, you're lucky I didn't take him right there for the Browns.
Yep, do that. That's the deal. Ryan Poles loves this deal. Ty Simpson, quarterback, Alabama to the Arizona Cardinals. Look, there's a lot of talk about Ty Simpson, not just Orlovsky. No, made the joke earlier. He got a lot of flack. The memes going around like, what big games did Fernando play in? It's really funny. But to be fair, there are multiple people, and apparently around the league too, that genuinely think Ty Simpson is a close, if not better, prospect than Fernando Mendoza. We saw it last year with the Giants moving up literally to pick 25 to take Jackson Dart, who wasn't a shoo-in to be a first-round pick either. But you go in and the quarterback, you just don't want to wait. So for the Cardinals here, Garrett, you gave him Francis Maui Noah at 3. Now they get Ty Simpson, and he does not have to play right away with Jacoby Brissett there. Let's see what happens this year, man. I don't think it takes him out of taking a quarterback next year with the capital that they gave up. I mean, honestly, the Giants moved up from round 2 and gave up 2 third-round picks. So we'll see. This offer might be a little light, honestly, for Arizona to move up, but the chance to hit on a quarterback, it's just so worth it at pick 25, especially a guy like Ty Simpson, where you can't deny through 9-10 weeks was playing awesome football. And Alabama had a gauntlet of a schedule, and he was playing great. Ryan Williams let him down. He got sick at the end of the season, lost a ton of weight, clearly was not himself, was getting banged up. I still think there's a lot of talent with Ty Simpson. Some people are going to be scared away because of his frame and his size, and I get it. But for the Cardinals here, it's like, why not roll the dice? Because I tell you what, as a Giants fan, I'm thrilled they rolled the dice on Jackson Dart last year and moved up and took the chance on the kid. Yeah,
I mean, listen, I think it's between them, the Jets, and the Browns. There's kind of 3 teams I'm looking at right now. And if you're Arizona, like the way the board shakes out, if he does fall to the second round, like the Jets have you beat. So you would have to trade back in to get him. So if you are convinced, and based off of what they did in the offseason with, Brissett and Minshew, it is similar to the Giants, like you said, where you have the 2 vets that are there, and then you bring in the rookie quarterback. So they probably will roll with Brissett out of the gates. Minshew will kind of be the locker room Jameis Winston type, and then and then eventually they'll switch over to Ty Simpson, and hopefully it does work out with him. So I'm cool with that. All right, so for the Bills here, I'm going to go with Caleb Banks here. Pair him with Ed Oliver on the interior. This Buffalo defense definitely needs some big-time help. Yeah, you could go wide receiver there, but there's nobody I'm like in love with at that point that I'm like they need to go get. Where I definitely think they need more help in on the interior, and there was no edge rusher that really stuck out to me to take. So I'm like, hey, why not go get the best defensive tackle, in my opinion, in Caleb Banks, just a massive human, dominated Florida. Pair him with Ed Oliver and really build up that defense right out of the gates. Because as long as you have Josh Allen, the offense is going to put up points. It's just a matter of, can our defense get some stops?
Hey, tell you what, man, that feels like a Bills pick. That's a swing for the fences pick. If it works out, Banks next to Ed Oliver would be awesome for that team. Or it's a total whiff of a pick during Josh Allen's prime, because he's had a couple pretty bad lower leg injuries for a man of his size. But when he was on the field for the Gators, I would know I'm a Gators fan, go Gators. Damn, was he dominant. Unblockable at times.
All right, Garrett.
Nice. All right, I'm up with the Niners. So with the moves they made in free agency,
What was that? What was it? Like lagged, and then it was like a little squeaky, like a mouse, and it just ripped it out in like a second. That whole sentence.
that's weird.
That's
I'm
awesome.
gonna pretend that didn't happen then.
I hope
What I was
it's
trying
up
to
on the
say-
recording.
Yeah, fuck you guys. But what
Yo,
I was trying to say is
we ain't getting
after
paid
the
for
moves
this
they made in
episode. Thanks,
free
buddy.
agency, yeah, you guys don't make money anyway. I don't like the
Yeah.
linemen here. So what I'm trying to get to is right now my picks are between somewhere in the secondary, and there's two great secondary players still on the board. McNeil Warren and Avion Terrell. I think the bigger need right now in that secondary is a safety. There's a couple edge guys I'd consider as well. I think them bringing in Mike Evans kind of makes me not really think they would need a receiver as much in the first round. But I think they're in a division with so many loaded wide receivers, and you're going to need guys, a lot of bodies to keep up with all. It's one of the best divisions in terms of weapons. So I'm going to go Emmanuel McNeil Warren here.
Good pick.
And I'm going to add to that secondary when you got to play a team like the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals every season. You're going to need some dogs. And I like McNeil Warren. I think he's kind of a higher prospect than 27. I think he can definitely go middle of the first if there's a right fit for him. But I like this landing spot here.
It's good value, too. It's just good value.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised he fell this far.
Yeah, man. I am, too. All right. I got the Eagles at 28. I know you moved out, but you moved up with my Texans at 28. So
Yeah,
I get
this
the
is you.
Eagles here? Okay.
Yep.
This is a really easy pick for me. Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver, Indiana.
Nice.
Damn.
Even if A.J. Brown stays, why not get a third guy? Because it seems like even if A.J. Brown's an Eagle for this year, I don't see it long term. The only reason he would be for this year is because the money just doesn't make sense. But as we've talked about before, post June 1st, the money is workable, right? They can move that contract. And there's talks that June 2nd, don't be surprised, A.J. Brown is a New England Patriot. It could happen. Not 100%, but it could happen. Omar Cooper Jr. is also just too good of a player in this spot. I believe like both Todd McShay and Daniel Jeremiah have him as a top 20 prospect. Isn't it just so Eagles? A guy just falls in their lap that's just you never thought would be there at 28. You guys talked about Omar Cooper Jr. at 16 for the Jets, which is absolutely in play. I've seen that in several
100%.
mocks,
100%.
right? At 28 for the Eagles, it's almost a no-brainer. Did you guys see that piece that came out today by Jeremy Fowler at ESPN regarding Jalen Hurts? It is not flattering of Jalen Hurts. It's sources within the Eagles, like he won't throw the ball in the middle of the field. He's got a bad attitude. Yeah, dude, it's not good. It's not good. And like the weaponry is getting frustrated because he's not getting the ball, right? And Omar Cooper Jr. is going to work in a different way that I think works with Jalen Hurts' skill set, where Omar Cooper Jr. is probably the best yak guy, yards after catch in this class. And that can work in any offense, right? So this is an A.J. Brown replacement, but even if A.J. Brown's still there, you're going to need help at that position long term, and it's just too good of a value. Omar Cooper Jr. is an awesome player. He's my wide receiver 4, so it just makes a ton of sense here for Philly.
I mean,
that's a great pick.
Yeah, and like you said with the Brown thing, like even if they don't trade him this year, like you got to think his years are numbered with Philadelphia, and they're a team that, you know, why not go get a number 3 wide receiver there? And like even Goddard, they brought back at the tight end position on a 1-year deal. So you see how they're able to, you know, utilize all 3 guys as pass catchers, but they are one team in this league where it seems like they use 2 wide receivers and that's it. Like you don't see really ever a 3rd wide receiver utilized. So I think it would be a great dynamic to get that in, and then you get the 5th-year option and you obviously trade back and pick up some capital. So it works out well for him there. So I'm up with Kansas City here. You know, I think you got to go defense again here. There's no offensive lineman I'm loving at this point. I was thinking edge, but, there's no one that really sticks out to me. So I'm going to stick on the interior. I'm going to go with Peter Woods here. Pair him with Chris Jones on the interior. Really try to build it up. Hopefully, get some more pressure from the interior because obviously on the outside they need to get more help. I believe. Let me see. I had it before. I want to say Karlaftis led all edge rushers last year with sacks. He led the team with 6. Or no, I'm sorry. He led edge rushers with 6. Chris Jones had 7. And then after that, it was Omenahu, who's not even there anymore. So they just need more pressure, whether that's from the interior or the outside. And I figure Peter Woods, paired with Chris Jones could be a nice duo on the interior for him.
Caleb Downs and Peter Woods. Chiefs fans, would you sign up for that? I mean, yeah. I would. All right, Big G.
Right,
Miami.
The Dolphins here. So I wanted to ask you because I'm between 2 players right now. It's going to be corner since we went Mekhi Lemon earlier. Obviously, Terrell's falling, and I also like Colton Hood a lot. But now, I was just on the internet looking, and do you know if Avion Terrell got hurt yesterday?
He did. Terrell didn't work out at the combine because of a hammy that's been lingering. And I saw that on his first run at his pro day, he re-aggravated the hammy, which is not ideal. You think hammy, it's like, oh, people get hammy injuries all the time and they heal. But there is something to guys that have chronic hammies because that could be a thing like every week during the season. It's like on the injury report, not practicing because of a hammy, right? So it's concerning. Right. I think it's concerning enough that he could fall to round 2. I'd say it's more likely he's a round 2 guy than a round 1 guy as it stands today.
Yeah, we saw what's his face, the guy from Michigan, fall last year.
Yeah, Will Johnson. Yeah, he fell because that was a knee, but he fell deep. Like, what do you get, pick 48
he was
overall?
a better prospect than this guy for sure. Yeah, he went to the 2nd.
Hood's definitely a safer pick, I think.
I think I'm going to go Hood because I have them pretty similarly anyway. So with that coming up, it's definitely the smarter play to go Colton Hood. I mean, I think this guy still could be a cornerback 1. He's really fast. He plays great in man coverage. Tennessee had both 2 corners who were elite, but when sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his name. The other corner from Tennessee, McCoy.
McCoy, but he missed this past
when
year.
he was hurt. When he was hurt, Hood stepped in, and he really improved his draft stock by becoming the CB1 on that team, showing he was built for it. So, fills a major need here for the Dolphins.
Yeah, great pick, man. Great pick. Can't go wrong with that. All right, I'm here for the Patriots at 31 on the assumption.
Oh, yeah, you are. Yeah, never mind. Yeah. Bro, I'm like so ready to go. I'm
Elliot Wolf, dude. I'm Elliot Wolf.
Chomping at the bit, bro.
I know. I think it's going to be an edge rusher. I'm assuming they're going to get A.J. Brown. Even if they get A.J. Brown, our boy, Brandon Ross from 1st and 10 was like, inside scoop. This pick is Zion Young if he's on the board. And I'm like, okay, I want to believe our boy Brandon because we just did the mock with him last week.
Believe him.
So we got Zion Young, but I'm also looking at Cassius Hal. Another guy, the only guy with shorter arms than Ruben Bane is Cassius Hal. But god damn it, he was so good last year at A&M. I'm going to listen to our boy Brandon, though. We're going to go Zion Young, fire it up. Mike Vrabel needs an edge rusher. I wouldn't rule out Max Ione, the tackle from Arizona State. Did you see at the pro day, Mike Vrabel was working with him, right? Like fucking like putting hands on him, like do. And I'm like, all right, if Mike Vrabel's that hands-on with the kid, he's in play at 31 for them to tackle, right? Because, Morgan Mose is not a long-term solution at right. So I do think that could be in play as well, but they just need edge, man. They need edge, and I think Zion Young is a good value here at 31, and our boy Brandon feels pretty confident in it. So we're tipping the cap to the 1st and 10, boys. We're going to roll with that.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I think edge is definitely the play for New England there, so can't go wrong with that. And, hey, nothing wrong with trusting an inside scoop. All right, I am making a trade. One last trade here.
Whoa!
There's nobody I think Seattle has to take here. But I actually have the Las Vegas Raiders trading back in here.
Whoa, interesting. They want a wide receiver for Fernando?
They do want a wide receiver for Fernando, and they don't want to. Nice. They don't want to risk with the Jets at 33 sitting there not getting a wide receiver. So they want to go make sure they get their guy. So we're gonna do that. And then, Seattle obviously doesn't have a lot of capital this year. So for them, it bodes well. They pick up a little more capital. As you can see, they only have 4 picks currently. So the Seahawks ain't complaining trading back. So they pick up, they're going to pick up a, what will we give them? We'll give them, yeah, you know what? We'll throw them 2 picks. So we'll throw them, we'll throw them 2 picks. So they move back 4 picks. And it looks like they're going to pick up 2 later picks this year. So we're going to get it done.
175. Is that going to get it done, you think?
Hard to say. I may
What's
have
that,
gone
a 4th rounder?
Reagan's just pushing it through. We're already 70 minutes in.
Only because they lose the 5th round option on a player then, just for
So we'll say they give them a 3rd and a 4th or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a capologist here, but
you might be right. Let's let it
or I'm not a picks guy. You're probably right in a sense, but all I know is Seattle only has 4 picks, so for them to trade back, it makes a ton of sense. And the Raiders have a lot of capital, so they pick up the 5th-year option. They guarantee that they get a different type of wide receiver that they don't currently have on their roster. Because if you look at their roster right now, they pay Jalen Naylor to play in the slot. You get a guy like Trey Tucker, who's a speedster. You got a guy like Deontay Thornton, who's a speedster. Why not go get Denzel Boston, a bigger body guy? No, they got speed. I like KC, but they got speed.
They got speed. I just thought you liked KC better.
I do like KC better, but I don't like KC better for this team. I think Boston fits their need much better. So in this scenario, I am going to go with Denzel Boston out of Washington to get Mr. Fernando Mendoza, his number 1 wide receiver. And boy, look at that mock draft. Sexy,
wow, that is sexy. That is sexy.
Look at that.
Major curveballs. What the boys did at 5, 6, and 7 and 8 really shook up this draft. Delane going 5. Garrett moving up for Bailey at 6 for the Cowboys. Talk about a ballsy move. I got Jeremiah Love to the Rams. That's maybe the ballsiest. That's pretty nuts. But hey, we're getting spicy, and you want to win now? That's the way to do it. Reagan hates it. It's okay. We're allowed to disagree on this podcast. That's okay. Some interesting
what did we end up
fits.
having? How many trades did we have? I did 3, you did 2, and Garrett did 1. So we did 6 trades total, I think.
Yeah, I think 6 trades. I moved up for Love, and then I moved back with the Bears to get Ty Simpson. Those are the 2 trades I made.
Yeah, and I feel like typically, like in these drafts, you see a lot of trades happening in the second half of the draft. It seems like a lot of teams are pretty set in stone in the first 16. It's usually in the back half with teams trying to trade back in.
Jaguars didn't move up to 2 last year for Travis.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you see a lot more movement towards the last 5, 6 picks with teams wanting to trade back in to get the 5th-year option.
Yeah, that's true.
Teams like Seattle that don't have a lot of capital or whatever, we'll we'll trade back out to pick up a couple picks and still have an early 2nd-round pick.
Hell yeah, boys. Felt fans, hit the comments. What picks do you love? What picks do you hate? I hope you love the Jeremiah Love pick. Make sure you're subscribed. Drop a like. This is Mock 10.0. If you're new to the channel, we got 9 more for you to check out. We'll see you soon here around the Felt Sports. Any last words, my friends?
Hype that video. Hype that video on YouTube.
Hype that video, baby. Hype it.
Hype it, or whatever you do on Spotify. I don't know how many listeners we get there, but you do your thing on Spotify too, people.